Hello everybody and welcome back. We have moved from our outside studio to our outside studio with a fireplace in the background. So it's a pretty neat setting. So it's our version of hot yoga today. So I thought today, our last practice was working on shoulder release. So I thought we'd move down the body a little bit and focus on some lower back release. I know some of you have mentioned that's always an area that can be a little bit tight. And so we'll focus on that today. So as always, I'm already elevated on a block. You can take your block and place underneath your seat. So your sit bones are on the leading edge or just shy of the leading edge. And then let your hands rest comfortably. Let your eyes come closed. And just start that nice connection to the breath, starting to breathe fully into the body space. And no matter what time you're doing this practice, the body is going to enjoy this moment of stillness early on in the practice. So take the opportunity to breathe into the body fully. Visualize the journey of the breath as you draw it in and as it moves through the legs and the arms and circulates. Knowing that we can pause at any time in an area of the body that's holding some tension within, and just breathe into that space for a moment or two and help you release anything that is being stored in that space. We'll start this morning with just a little bit of breathing work to set the tone for the practice. This is something that can be done anytime during the day. Just a couple rounds of it really does add a sense of calm to the body. It can help you sleep and relax. So what we'll do is we'll start breathing into the lower belly. We'll do a 3-part breathing. So as we activate that deep sense of breath moving all the way into the lower body, if you can picture that space between the upper portion of your pelvis and the belly button, that's kind of our target space to breathe. So let's take 2 or 3 rounds of breath and breathe specifically into that area. So a full round of breath. Sometimes it helps to place either the left or right hand just in that space so you actually feel the breath move in as it pushes the belly out and the palm moves back in as you exhale. Just gives you a sense of the power of the breath as we offer. It's known as prana, energy or life force. So as we've now connected to that lower abdominal breathing, we're going to move the breath into the ribs. So we'll break it into thirds. So the first, we start to breathe into the lower belly. And then begin to draw the remaining breath up into the ribs. And then from the ribs at the top of the inhale, begin to exhale from the ribs back into the lower belly. Let's do that a few times. If it helps to visualize a wave coming into the shore, that's how I connect to the movement of the breath into the body. As it approaches the shore, the wave begins to get a little bit higher, and as it comes in towards the shore, it folds into the shore, which is our exhale. We'll take that final third of our breath and we start to breathe into the belly. We move that breath into the ribs. And finally, we move it all the way up into the upper chest. As we exhale from the upper chest, into the ribs, back into the lower belly. We'll do this a few times. Connecting gently to that visual of a wave coming into the shore. And And then from that place of tranquility, we take a moment to set the intention of this practice. We offer the hands today into prayer position, which is known as Anjali Mudra. Sitting fully, moving the seat into your mat and moving the chest up and towards your chin so you're open in the heart space. We have connected to the intention of this practice as we offer a deep full breath. And we exhale, bow our heads to our heart. With that, next inhale, we lift the chin, release our hands, and let's come directly to our back. So we'll spend a little time in the beginning of class on that. So if you're elevated, just release the block or whatever you're seated on, and we'll come to our back. So as you come to your back, let's take the soles of the feet to the floor and allow the knees to be parallel. Now, we're going to do some release from here for the lower back. First off, let's bring the soles of the feet together and allow your knees to open wide. Back of the head rests on the mat. Push in the triceps just a little bit to roll the shoulders in so your upper chest is open, and your hands can rest wherever, on the belly, if that's comfortable. And just allow the knees to feel like they're moving out and away from the body. Okay? Taking some deep rounds of breath. Again, if you want to continue to connect to that three-part breathing, that's absolutely fine. As you breathe to the belly, to the ribs, to the chest, to the ribs, back into the belly, to maintain that sense of well-being and tranquility as we move through our practice. Good. Take a few more deep rounds of breath. If you're comfortable, you can start a little bit of bounce with your knees. Not much, maybe half an inch to an inch either direction. So you start to awaken the inner thighs, those adductors. The adduction moves the energy in towards our body. And the abductors, the muscles on the outside, move the energy away from the body. And we'll use both of those today to help release the lower back. Good. A couple more rounds of breath. Now from this position, we slow the movement down to the legs. We simply take the soles of the feet back together and we find our block. If you have a block, you can use a book. If you don't have a block, or you can use a foam roller, or you can absolutely just stay back of the mat to your seat. If you have a block and you're going to elevate, place the block directly underneath your sacrum. Okay? So you want to be able to pick your feet off of the mat and have it be stable. No pinching. And if there's any sense of discomfort, release whatever you're elevated on immediately. Take the feet back down towards the floor. Now, just this simple move of an elevated pelvis begins to release the lower back. This is probably one of the most restorative poses that you can do. Now, we're going to add a little bit to it. Our first sense of movement is going to bring that right knee in towards our chest. Okay? And if you want to go a little bit into the hip flexors, maybe just bring the knee in first, hold it a little bit, breathe, and then extend the right foot up and position the hands gently behind the hamstring, about halfway between your seat and the back of the knee. That gives you the most leverage. And then roll the shoulders down, flex your right foot, and simply kind of take that right thigh and try to move it into the right hamstring. We talked about that last class, is that muscular energy, taking the energy and moving it from body space to body space. This is a good way to release the lower back as you start to feel that femur bone gently move away from the hip in the lower back. Take a couple rounds of breath here. Breathing fully. And this can be held however long you want. We'll do it for a few rounds of breath. The wonderful thing about online classes is you can always hit the pause button. And then release the right foot to the floor. And then bring that left knee in. Again, little action in the hip flexors, keeping that left foot flexed. Draw in so your core is active. and then extend the left foot up. Simply take the hands behind that hamstring, again, half the distance between the back of the knee and your seat, and push that thigh forward. Move the shoulders back into the mat. Breathe. A couple rounds of breath here. And when we engage like this, we want to make sure that we're not holding our breath. Allowing the breath to be as full as it was when we were in seated posture. Good. From that position, simply take that left foot back to the floor. Now, we're going to go a little bit deeper. This is something that I find to be the most restorative component to add to sleep and release tension. Is you can elevate on a block. You can also do this against the wall. Your arms are alongside your body, palms facing down, because you want to feel stability. Bring your knees in, and then simply take your feet straight up towards the ceiling. Okay? Allow the trajectory of the femur bone to move into the lower back. That femur bone comes into a cup or a cap. It's called the acetabulum. So this helps release that lower back. Okay? You can be 90 degrees with the hips. You can be a little bit beyond that if you want to get a little bit more into the hamstrings and you're comfortable. And we'll just take the couple rounds of breath here just to give you an idea of some things that you can do on your own around your house. Taking some deep rounds of breath, full cycles. Squeezing the inner thighs together. This is an action that we'll tap into quite a lot today during the practice, is that ability to adduct, so draw in towards the midline, creating some internal rotation of the thighs. And I'll get a little bit more specific about that later. But this is a good action. So if you have an additional block or that book or whatever, you can put it in between your inner thighs and squeeze in to create that internal rotation. This is also a really nice way to allow the organs to detox. When we sit or we stand for an extended period of time, the organs tend to get compressed. So by allowing the hips to be a little bit higher than the shoulders and the head, that allows the organs to kind of reform and go back to their original shape, which acts like a suction to pull the toxins out of the body. And it's a pretty comfortable place to be. And again, you can do this against a wall to give you a little bit more support. Take a breath. We'll release the knees back down towards the floor. Once you're secure, we're going to release the block. Now don't let your hips just collapse to the floor. Activate your glutes and then slowly release the hips down towards the floor. Now, we're going to take the feet about hip width apart again. So we want to draw an imaginary line from our hip bone, which are placed right here, straight up to the knees, and then straight down to the toes. We're going to take our arms alongside our body, so we're going to do some nice bridge poses here to continue to release that lower back, but at the same time we're moving a little bit deeper into different areas of the body. In this instance, glutes, hamstring insertion points, strengthening those connections. So from here, we're going to do two. We're going to do one to kind of give you a sense of what the body does, and then we're going to refine it on the second round. So what we'll do is push the feet down, push the shoulders down, push the back of the head slightly into the mat, and activate the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands. And then we'll lift. Now as we lift, you're going to feel some nice sensation in the front part of your body. Hip flexors. Okay, you're going to feel a little bit of thigh work. Your glutes are going to activate for sure. And once you elevate, it can be in any position that's comfortable, move the shoulders into the mat and just feel like you're taking your chin a little further away from the upper chest. And take a few rounds of breath here. And you can move, you can lift the ball mounds of the feet up, you can lift the heels up off the floor just to activate the legs a little bit more. And then we'll slowly release the hips back down towards the floor. Now, this next one we're going to do, we're going to offer a little bit more alignment specific. So from that, I lifted from my belly button, straight up towards the ceiling. But now I'm going to shift that. And that's okay to do it that way. you're just creating a little bit more emphasis in the lower back from an extension standpoint. But if we take our hip bones, which are these bones right in the front part of our pelvis, and we lift from them, that's going to send the tailbone away from us or towards the head of the mat and allow some lengthening in our lower back. Everything else is active. The glutes are still active, the hamstrings are still active, our thighs, our hip flexors, our psoas, all still active, but we're just lengthening the lower back a little bit more, which at the same time gives us a little bit more space to elevate the hips. We don't have to, but it's there if we'd like to take that space. Arms alongside the body. We'll take a few rounds of breath and we'll hold this pose, breathing deeply for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now as you release, you're going to release from those hip bones as well, so you're still moving that tailbone towards the top of the mat as you release your back onto the mat. Excellent. Now, we're going to take a little bit of movement here. Take your arms up, palms are going to face forward. Now, I'm not protracting the shoulder blades. I'm not lifting the shoulders off the mat. I want to move them into the mat. So pull the arms into the floor. Stretch the arms over your head. Now, if you can't quite get back, that's absolutely cool. Just let your hands rest off, okay? Maybe a few moments of just stretch. The hands will stretch back and release to the floor. This is a good shoulder opener. We did a variation of this on our last class that we did the shoulder practice. And then from here, I'm going to lift again. I'm going to lift from those hip bones, and I'm going to get longer in my body. So my tailbone's going to move towards the top of the mat, and I'm going to elevate, and my arms are going to stretch back even further. So now my front body is super long. So what we'll do here is we'll inhale full breath, and as I exhale with control, I'm going to reach my arms all the way back up, and I'm going to take my hips down towards the floor. Maybe we touch at the same time. And as we release, I'm going to come right back up again. Stretch. So let's do this 5 more times. Exhale down, full rounds of breath. Good. Inhale up for 5. Exhale down. Inhale up for 4. Exhale down. Staying long and controlled with the breath. Inhale up. 3. Release. 2 more. Up for 2. Inhale. Exhale to release. 1 more big breath. Inhale. And then exhale, release. Nicely done. Breathe. Now once we come all the way back down to the floor and we feel secure and supported, let's bring the soles of the feet together again and allow the knees to open. Now, from here, maybe we go back to our little bit of bouncy for the knees, just again to keep awakening those joints, adductors on the inside, abductors on the outside. And from here, if you like, and that felt good before, simply stretch your arms back over your head so your front body is nice and open. This, of course, is all stuff that helps release the lower back, but we're also tapping into other areas of the body. Now, from the arm point of view, we can move into a cactus, which gives us a little bit more space in our upper chest. So the shoulders move into the floor, the forearms move into the floor, and the backs of the hands move in. So again, our upper chest. And you'll notice when you do this, your upper chest expands and opens up. Okay, your collarbone gets bright. From the back body moving into the front body. And you're going to breathe. Good. And then from there, slowly release the arms. Bring the legs back up. Now, lock your thumbs. So cross the thumbs like this. Spread your fingers wide. And then stretch your arms over your head. Take 1 foot out at a time. Take the second one out. Stretch. Now,
pull the belly in as much as you can, push through the heels, so feel the back body get long, and then take your hands and try to pull apart your fingertips or your thumbs. Stretch, breathe. Now, release and change the grip on your thumbs. Now point through your toes, stretch. So now we bring in the front body. Stretch, reach, breathe. 3, 2, don't hold your breath, and 1. Release, relax, feet back to the floor. Now, from here, we're just going to roll to our side and then come right up to all fours position. And we're going to release the shoulders over the wrists, knees underneath your hips. Now, because our focus today is on our lower back release, I'm going to encourage, if you don't have a block, you can use a book. Okay, you can even use the foam roller here, or something that's maybe a couple inches wide. All you're going to do is take the block, you're going to put it in between your inner thighs. We talked about that adduction, moving in towards the midline. So this block is secure in place. The internal rotation is forcing that block like it's going to move back away from me. Technically, it's spinning the thighs inward, it's taking my outer hips forward, and it's opening space along the back body. From here, toes can tuck. This is a personal preference. I like them tucked, okay? Whatever feels best for you. Shoulders move into the heels of the hands, so we round our back a little bit. We squeeze the forearms as much as we're squeezing the inner thighs. We start to cat-cow. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And as we did in our last practice, we took the opportunity while we're here to add a little bit of more deeper expression. The rocking chair move as your hips start to go back. Now, the block is there, but we can exaggerate that adduction into the block to really work that lower back opening, and then move back forward. And then back again. Let's do it a couple more times. The range of motion isn't completely up to what feels best for you, so just take and explore. If you start to venture into that space and it doesn't feel right for your body, back out of it. Good, a couple more. This is just a nice, pretty simple way to open the lower back. You're working the hips though. I mean, I can feel it, that adduction. Now, we're going to come back into neutral. Now we're going to come to a standing posture. If downward dog's not your thing, totally get it. Come on up to standing. Take your block with you. For those of you who are going to enter into a downward dog, tuck the toes under, and then lift your knees off just a little bit. So you find that buoyancy in the body. You clamp down on the inner thighs. You clamp down on the forearms so you're nice and strong in the core. And then from there, you're going to stretch back into your downward dog with the block in place. Now you can adjust the stance a little bit. I'm going to move just a little bit to get a bit better in the frame. And then the knees are bent, and we're going to exaggerate that action into the block. Squeeze in, and then from there, you're going to stick your seat back. So you want to create the dynamic action of almost getting the sense that you're pushing that block away from you. Stretch. Now from here, we're going to lift the heels high, and we're going to roll over an imaginary ball coming into a plank position. Now my hips are going to rest above my shoulders. I'm going to tuck my tailbone. I'm protracting my shoulder blades. And we'll hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and I'm going to roll back over that imaginary ball. It's like you're moving in slow-mo. Let's do that one more time. Heels high, roll over the imaginary ball. The energy is moving from the hips to the chest, to the shoulders, to the crown of the head. Strong in the body. 5, 4, 3,
2, 1. Release. Now, from here, we're going to come to standing. I'm just going to walk with my block in place up towards the center part of the mat, and I'm going to walk my hands back towards my feet. So, from here, because of the block, our feet are about parallel. Our knees are soft. We're taking that energy of the sit bones and moving them up towards the sky. And our hands can rest on the shin. They can rest on the floor. If you have another block, take your hands, rest them, okay? You can have degrees of fold, okay? Wherever it's best for you. Now, from here, I'll use this one. We'll take our seat and we'll stick it back. We'll tilt that pelvis forward. That action of squeezing the block helps with that. I'm going to move my shoulders back. I'm going to take my heart forward. A little bit of bend in the knees. Now, we want to make sure with forward folds, especially with those of us, and I'm definitely one of them, that has tighter hamstrings, there is that direct relationship between tight hamstrings and lower back. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But for right now, we want to make sure that our knees are bent. No matter how mobile you are and flexible you are in the hamstrings, let's keep them bent so we have room to activate that tilt forward, anterior tilt. Stretch. Breathe. This is a lot of work, squeezing that block, taking your pelvis and tilting it forward, activating the upper body, and breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now, wherever you are, come up to this half lift. Now, I'm going to release the block, but I'm going to stay at this half lift. So my hips are roughly 90 degrees. I'm finding extension of my lower back. My heart space is open. My knees are still bent. I'm still squeezing that block like crazy. I'm going to take my upper chest and I'm going to lift it, and I'm going to come all the way up to standing. Now, when we scoop our heart like that, we come up to standing, but it takes all the pressure out of our lower back. It puts it into our legs where it should be to help support us. Now, I haven't touched that block since we got down. So I'm still squeezing that block. Now, profile, what happens with tighter hamstrings when we fold forward, as we fold forward, tight hamstrings pull down on that lower back. So it takes the pressure and applies it to the lower back. So bending your knees allows that room to compensate for that. You have to be mindful of the action, but as you fold with the knees bent, you can tilt your butt back, okay? Get that extension in the spine. Referring back, internal rotation of the thighs. And as you come down to a forward fold. Now, once you come down to a forward fold, okay, swing your hips a little bit from left to right. Isn't that a song? Hips left to right, something like that? Good. My sister's back at the camera again today. She's going, what is going on? Now, from here, let's bend the knees a little bit more. You can absolutely go back to your block. You're going to bend that left knee a little bit. Now work from that right hip into the right foot. We did this the other day. Take that right thigh back, okay? Muscular energy, thigh, femur, femur, hamstring, hamstring back, okay? And then just reposition your block off to the left a little bit. Take that right hip, pull it back, okay? Big time. Stretch. Now, you don't need to take your block way over to the left. You can just take it off center, or you don't even have to. You can take this hip and move it back directly from your straight-on position. Good. Now, from here, we're going to come back into neutral. We're going to bend the right a little bit. We're going to straighten that left, okay? Left hip, left foot, and then I'm going to go off to the right a little bit, and I'm going to pull that left hip back. Stretch. This can also be done on all fours if that's more comfortable for you. Knees are bent on all fours, obviously. Okay. Good. Come back into neutral. If you're elevated on a block with your hands, release that. You're at that half art of Uttanasana. Seat moves back. You want to feel the block is moving back. You take your heart and move it in the direction of your chin as you come up to standing, releasing the lower back.
Okay? Now, I'm going to take the block out for a little bit, and we're just going to do a little bit of low lunges, which is a really good way to work on the hip flexors, but it's also a good way to strengthen and lengthen areas that support the lower back. So I think best for me to turn this way, I think. Probably. Is that the best? Okay. So I'm going to stand at the top of the mat. All right. From your breath, begin to reconnect to that deeper round of breath. Breathing fully into the body space. Okay. Now the body's changed position. We're now in standing. So offer it down deeply. Try to connect to the floor. Pull up. Okay. Now, from this, simple low lunges, we'll take our arms up, inhale, stretch. Now, from here, you're going to lead with the heart as you extend forward. My seat is moving back away from me. My inner thighs are moving away from me, and I'm going all the way down towards the floor. Notice the knees, they're bent. Okay? Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. Nothing has changed here. It's still that rotation back on the thighs, lifting the seat. Now as I exhale, I'm going to step my left foot straight back. Now, I'm in a runner's lunge here. That right knee is 90 degrees. I'm going to offer that left knee down towards the floor. Now, I'm on either side of that right foot. I'm going to take my hands to my hips. It's really important here to be mindful of the placement of that forward knee. 90 degrees, over the ankle, shy of the ankle, just preferably not in front of the ankle, okay? Bones are strongest when they're stacked. Chest in, ribs in, belly in, shoulders back. Now, we want to take that tailbone down just a little bit, so move it towards the floor. Tuck, okay? And then from there, I'm going to take my arms out. I'm going to move my shoulders back and down like I'm locking them into place. And then I'm going to stretch my arms up. I'm going to come into a cactus. Moving the shoulders back, moving the ribs back. The tendency here is to arch. We want to compensate and activate the midline, pulling it back. Breathing for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arms up. Fold to the floor. Left knee is going to lift. Now from this position, I'm simply going to step my left foot back to the top of the mat, right into a half lift. I'll exhale, fold, leading with my heart, standing all the way back up to standing. Okay? Very little pressure on that lower back, all with the emphasis of releasing. Second side, inhale, arms up. Exhale and fold. Half lift, inhale, right foot steps back. Again, notice that position of that left knee, 90 degrees. Right knee comes down, hands to hips. From here, knee position, core back, ribs back, chest open, tuck. Arms come out, set the shoulders back, up. Now you can of course stay here or move into more of an open chest and open heart space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arms up. Release. Right knee lifts. Guide the right foot forward. Half lift. Exhale and fold. Standing. Inhale. Stretch. Reaching. Coming back into our standing put up posture of Tadasana. Offering some deep rounds of breath. Even the way we stand, whether we're practicing or not, stand with the feet parallel to each other. When you're standing in the house, when you're in the kitchen, wherever you are, be mindful of the position of your feet. That has a huge influence on the position of your lower back and creating that openness that releases tension. Okay? Now, I'm going to stay in this position. We're going to do one runner's lunge twist each side, and then we're going to come back to the floor. So from here, I'm going to inhale my arms up. I'm going to stretch. I'll exhale to the floor. From this position, I'll step my left leg back again. Now, from here, hands rest on either side of that right foot. I'm
I'm moving my shoulders back. That left leg is moving up. My left hand is going to come to the floor, a little bit in front of my left shoulder. I'm going to push down and lift up, and I'm simply going to open up towards the right. Now, if that shoulder's tight, take that right hand to the hip and move it back. Maybe it comes over. Now this right hip is moving back. I'm pulling it away from my right knee. Take a breath. Right hand comes down. You're square. Left knee comes down. Hands to hips. Shoulders back, ribs back. Arms up, inhale. Reach, stretch, cactus. Breathe and move. Ribs back, belly back. 5, 4. Remember to take that little tuck of the tailbone. 3, 2, 1. Arms up, inhale. Exhale down. Left knee lifts. Guide the left foot forward. Softly place it onto the mat. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Standing. Inhale, lift all the way up. Stretch. Exhale. Back into Tadasana. Nicely done. One more side. Inhale up. Exhale to fold. Half lift, inhale, right leg steps back. Now again, be mindful of the position of that right knee. I'm going to move it forward. I'm going to take the time to do it. Position of the left knee strong. Right hand to the mat in front of my shoulder. Left shoulder rolls open. Left hip moves back. Maybe I'm here. Maybe I'm here. Breathe. That left arm can move over. So as the left arm moves over, left hip moves back. Notice my knee doesn't move. Breathe. Stay strong on that right thigh for 3, 2, 1. Left hand down, right knee down. Hands, hips, shoulders back, ribs back. That tuck of the tailbone. Arms up, inhale. Cactus. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up, down. Right knee lifts, right foot guides forward, softly placed on the mat. Half lift, inhale, exhale, fold, inhale, standing. Stretch, reach, get long, and then exhale, hands to side body. Very well done. Take a deep, full breath. Exhale. Now, we did some standing work. We're going to come back to the floor. Do a little bit more work there, all with the goal and the intention of opening up the lower back. Now, sometimes we tap into forward folds. Yes, no, yes, no. Some people say yes for lower back. Some people say no. We're going to do it in a mindful way. First off, take your feet straight up. Send your seat back. Bring your left foot in. You're going to take your left hand onto the pinky side of the foot, and you're going to sit up as tall as you can. Moving the shoulder back. Notice my right leg is not hanging out. It's active, okay? Left foot comes off the floor. Pull that left, left elbow and left knee back. Now, I'm not doing this. I'm not collapsing. I'm moving those sit bones towards the floor. Take a couple breaths. Now, this can be done here, okay? You can leave it on the floor if that's more comfortable. Take your right hand and you're going to interlace. You're going to feel like you're rolling that left hip back forward. So now my left shin is a little off center. Okay? I'm going to take that left leg and I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to sit up really tall. Now, I can release one hand, but I'm still pushing through that left heel. Now, that left knee stays bent. My heart stays open. Now, to show you what kind of space we can create by moving our body in a mindful way, I'm going to push my left heel. Now notice, this is being filmed live, so I'm not editing this. I'm moving it forward, moving it forward, moving it forward, and I'm going to place it. And look how much further forward. Susan, can you zoom in on that? Mm-hmm. How much further forward that left heel is from my right. That simply shows you how much tightness can come from the body and how a simple practice can help open up and release toxins, tension, stress. It's so good for the body. Now we'll do the other side, and if my plan works out, we'll balance the heels. Right hand, chest open. Right shin is parallel. You can stay here, you can stay on the floor, maybe even pull it back a little bit. Sitting up nice and tall, breathing fully. Strong core, strong open heart, breathe. Okay, take that left hand, we'll interlace. Now, notice this hip, it's gonna roll forward. So I'm off center to the top of the mat with that right shin. I'm gonna go long. Sitting up nice and tall. Still trying to move towards sit bones. I'll release that left hand. I'm gonna push through that right heel. You can stay here as long as you're comfortable. A little bit of bend in that right knee. And then I'm gonna start moving forward. Pushing as I move. And then releasing down towards the floor. Pretty close. Breathe. Now, one final posture from this position. Dandasana, staff pose. It's an all engaged posture. Legs are strong, core is active, heart's open, shoulders, good release of the lower back. Take your hands and place them just aside your hips on the floor. Now, push in almost to the point where you feel like you're going to lift your seat, but you're not. Shoulders are going to move back, core is engaged. Push through the heels, spread your toes, sit up as tall as you can. Chin is roughly parallel. Look in the general direction of your feet. And you're going to breathe here. Core is very strong. Pull in on the femur bones, send your seat back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Windshield wiper. Nice work, everyone. Okay. Coming to the floor. Scoot forward, and then come to your back. As you make the transition, for purposes of protecting the stability of the back, place those feet right onto the floor, okay? Now, from here, you're going to bring the legs together. You're going to cross that left ankle over the right knee, okay? Flex it. Now, you can stay here, okay? This is a good place to be. Nice little hip opener on the left. We'll take it a step further is bring that right thigh in, so we're figure 4. Take your hands back to that position that we were on early on. Right knee's at 90, shoulders are back, okay? Now I'm going to take that right foot and I'm going to push it forward, but I'm going to hold with my hands. And I'm going to breathe. This left hip, and I'll show you more specifically when I do the other side, but that left hip is externally rotating, okay? So you're opening up that lower back. Breathe. Now, you can stay here, or you can take that right foot straight up. Now, for those of you who want to get a little bit more active in the core and a little bit more stability in those hip flexors, including the psoas, perhaps you release your hands and you keep that right leg up. Keep that left foot flexed, keep the right foot flexed, and you'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right foot goes back to the floor, left foot stays where it is. Drop the knees over towards the right. Now this time we did differently yesterday, our last class, but that left foot's going to go to the floor, so that left knee is going to point straight up towards the ceiling, and then from there, if you'd like, that left arm can stretch over your head. So we're nice and long on that left side. Breathe. A little bit of heaviness towards that left shoulder, if it's comfortable to feel like that left shoulder is moving closer towards the floor. 2 rounds of breath here. Inhale. Nice long exhale. Inhale. On your exhale, draw back and switch sides. Right ankle crosses over the left. Now, that external rotation we were talking about, that right hip is doing this. It's moving that way. Okay, so you're creating space. Option 1, stay here. Option 2 is bring that thigh in, interlace your hands. Both feet are flexed, left knee at 90. Right hip is moving away. Try to move the hip instead of the knee. If you move that knee, it creates a little bit of instability there, but flexing the right foot helps protect that. Now, push the left foot forward, resist with your hands, shoulders back. Maybe we take that left leg long. Push through the heel, couple breaths here, or release your hands. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left knee bends, staying in the figure 4. Drop the knees over towards the right. Right foot is flat, right knee to the sky. Now notice this side, my side is a little bit more open. It takes from the mobility that I have and opens up the body a little bit more freely than the other side as I stretch that right arm back over my head. Breathe. A few rounds of breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back, feet to the floor. Now, from here, find your block again. Let's take it on this flat side. Elevate your hips. Take that block and place it right on the sacrum, that flat part of your lower back. Position, okay? Move around a little bit. Find the stability. If you're comfortable here, we can stay in this position through Shavasana. If you feel no discomfort in your lower back, perhaps you extend one foot out. Let the toes roll open. You extend the other foot out. You roll the toes open. You let your arms rest alongside your body. This is a nice release of the upper back along the spinal column into the hips, into the thighs. Now, if this is not for you in Shavasana, then absolutely release the block and come to your reclined position. We'll take a few rounds of breath here, letting the body fully release into the mat as we have moved through our practice for about 45 to 50 minutes. Breathing. Capturing the sensations that the body is offering, the benefits of movement, the benefits of breathing fully, complementing that movement. From that position, let's offer the soles of the feet back to the floor. We'll simply release the block. As you place your hips back down on the floor, go slowly. Now, for those of you who'd like to take a little bit longer time in Shavasana, absolutely. For those of you who would like to come to a comfortable seated posture, let's move in that direction. Sitting fully into that comfortable seat. Taking some deep rounds of breath and just enjoying the sensations that the body is offering you. Gratitude for the time to take a few moments out of your day to practice. I enjoy being with you. Let's recall the intention of this practice as we draw our hands back into prayer position, Anjali Mudra. We offer a full breath to bow our heads.